Hello, my dear students. In today's session, let us try to understand how to measure heat transferred to a system. This heat appears as a rise in temperature of the system in case of heat absorbed by the system. The increase of temperature is proportional to the heat transferred. Okay, that means whatever increase is there in the system, that is directly proportional to what, how much heat you are supplied. That's why it is said the increase of temperature is proportional to the heat transferred. So in the form of equation, what we can write here, heat transferred or heat supplied is proportional to delta T. What is delta T? Delta T is the change in temperature, which gives how much increase is there. Okay, so if you remove the proportionality sign, so that time heat transferred or heat supplied is equal to constant into delta T, and this constant is known as what? This constant is known as heat capacity of the substance. That means today we are going to discuss a small topic known as heat capacity of a substance. So once again, I welcome you all for today's session on heat capacity. Now, first we will define what is heat capacity. Already I gave introduction. Now let us define it. Okay. Heat capacity is defined as the amount of energy needed to rise the temperature of a substance by 1 degree centigrade or 1 Kelvin. So if the present system is at 37 degrees centigrade, to go or to raise the system, to 38 degrees centigrade just by 1 degree, how much energy required? That is the heat capacity of that substance which is under check or under the system. Okay, so that is the definition of what? Heat capacity. Okay, right. Now, heat capacity is an extensive property. So let us recall what are extensive properties and intensive properties. Extensive properties means the property depends upon the amount, size, mass. Okay. So therefore, here heat capacity also depends upon the amount of the substance. See, for example, I am having 1 kilogram iron, 10 kilogram iron. Okay. Now I want both are at normal temperature, room temperature. Now I want to increase the temperature of the 1 kilogram and 10 kilogram iron to 1 degree centigrade more. So do I require same? No. That means heat capacity depends upon the amount. So to increase the temperature of 10 kilogram of air, I require more heat. So that you want to convey here. Okay. Therefore, heat capacity depends upon the amount. Therefore, it is an extensive property. Okay. So a large amount of a substance would require more heat to rise the temperature by 1 Kelvin than a small amount of the same substance. For example, 1 kilogram and 10 kilogram iron just now I gave. Heat capacity depends upon the amount of the substance we have or the you have. Okay, right. Now, just now I said in the introduction part that heat transferred or heat supplied is equal to constant into delta T. So heat transferred or heat supplied heat Q is equal to constant C into delta T. That is written here. Okay, you can take this as a small q or a capital Q. Normally small q is taken here. Okay, so Q equal to C into delta T. What is this C? This is the what? Heat capacity. Delta T, how much rise is there? Change the temperature. So Q, heat supplied or heat transferred. Okay, right. Okay, now one more important information regarding the heat capacity. Okay, when heat is transferred to an object, the temperature of the object increases naturally. Similarly, when heat is removed from an object, the temperature of the object decreases. Okay, right. So the relationship between the heat that is transferred and the change in temperature is Q equal to, here is I am using Q equal to C into delta T. So what is unit of this Q? It is joules per degree centigrade or joules per Kelvin. Okay, right. Now The same equation is written in this form also. So quantity of energy required to increase the temperature of a sample by 1 degree. So equal to Q by delta T. Q by delta T. And the magnitude of the heat capacity, that is C, depends on mass of the sample and composition also. See, just now I give example of what 1 kilogram and 10 kilogram. Their same sample was there. Now 1 gram iron, 1 gram copper, or 1 gram iron, 1 gram water, or 1 gram iron, 1 gram oxygen gas. So heat capacity not only depends upon the mass of the sample, it also depends upon the composition and the nature of the sample also. Okay, right. So this is very important point. Okay, right. Now, so whenever C is large, a given amount of heat results in a only small temperature rise. Okay, so that means if a particular substance has got a large heat capacity, for that we require more time to increase the temperature. Its heat capacity is more. Okay, best example is what? Water. Okay, so water has high heat capacity. This means that it takes a lot of heat energy to rise the temperature of water. So water can absorb a lot of heat before its temperature rises a significant amount. This property we make use where in the engines, where around the engine radiator is there, there we put the water. You might have seen the KSRTC bus where whenever engine becomes very hot, the time driver puts some amount of water. So the extra energy given by the engine heater, that heat energy is taken by the water, so that engine is in the safe condition. But nowadays we don't use water. We use sophisticated oil, which is known as synthetic oil under the name coolant. So even if you go for 200, 500 or 1000 kilometers non-stop, whatever heat is generated by the engine, that is taken by the synthetic oil, which has got the very high heat capacity. Okay, that technology we are using in the modern mechanical part. Okay, right. Now, dear students, C, that is heat capacity, is directly proportional to amount of substance. That means there is a relation between heat capacity and amount of substance in moles. That means what I am talking now? I am talking about what? Relation between heat capacity and the mole, known as molar heat capacity. Earlier, we talking about what? Only heat capacity. Now, heat capacity with respect to the number of moles, which is known as what? Molar heat capacity. Okay, molar heat capacity is what? It is the amount of heat required to increase the temperature by unit degree of a 1 mole of a substance. Okay, that is called as what? Molar heat capacity. So the amount of heat needed to increase the temperature of 1 mole of a substance by 1 degree, let it be Kelvin or degree centigrade, is called molar heat capacity of that substance. Okay, it is expressed in joules per moles per degrees. Okay, therefore unit is what? Joules per mole per degree centigrade or per degree Kelvin. For example, the molar heat capacity of lead is 26.65 joules per moles per Kelvin. This means that it takes 26.65 joules of heat to raise the 1 mole of lead by 1 degree Kelvin. That is the meaning of molar heat capacity. Okay, right. Now, once again, in different way. For pure substances, the heat capacity for 1 mole of the substance may be specified or denoted or designated as a molar heat capacity or C molar or Cm. Okay, so molar heat capacity equal to heat capacity in terms of moles. So what is it heat, heat equal to? Naturally, it is molar heat into moles per rise in the temperature. Okay, right. Now one more is there. Already we learnt about the heat capacity. Okay, then the molar heat capacity. Now, for finding out the heat, that is Q, required to raise the temperature of a sample, we multiply the specific heat by mass and temperature. Okay, temperature change, and that comes under what? That comes under the category specific heat. That means heat capacity for a specific purpose, where we specifically define amount, okay, as well as the rising temperature. That is known as what? Specific heat capacity. So we say that water has a higher specific heat capacity than metal. What is specific heat now? Specific heat capacity is defined as the amount of thermal energy required or heat energy supplied is required to raise the temperature of unit mass of a substance by 1 degree Kelvin or 1 degree centigrade. So here unit mass is important. Okay. Normally to increase the temperature of a 1 gram or to increase the temperature of a 1 kilogram. Okay. So here we specify mass here. So to rise the temperature of a 1 gram or 1 kilogram, that time what word will come? Specific heat word will come. Okay, right. So symbol is what? C. So in what unit? Joule per kilogram per kilo, because this mass is important here. So for increase the temperature of the 1 kilogram unit mass, this is very important. When you specify the mass, that comes under the specific heat. Okay, right. Now, this is the what formula we use for the specific heat. So Q equal to mc into delta T. What is Q? Q is energy released. M is the mass. C is the specific heat. Delta T is the change in the temperature. So okay, right. Now same equation here. Right now Q equal to what is M into C? M into C equal to taken as C. Okay, so C into delta T. So for this you recall the previous today's discussion. Okay, right. So after this I will go to one small interesting bit, that is relation between Cp and Cv. What is Cp? Heat capacity at constant pressure. What is Cv? Heat capacity at constant volume. Okay. So what relation is there between the heat capacity at constant pressure and heat capacity at constant volume? Okay. Right. Now, heat capacity at constant volume is equal to, using the previous formula, Cv into delta T. So that is nothing but what? That is a change in the internal energy, delta U. Okay. Right. Because there is no change in the volume. Whatever heat is supplied, that is a change in internal energy. That's why it is called delta U. Now, what is a QP? Heat capacity at constant pressure. Okay. So QP is equal to what? Cp into delta T. That is what? That is at constant pressure, whatever heat is supplied, that is used to do some work about the volume work. Okay. At constant pressure, that is nothing but what? Delta H only. Okay. So heat capacity at constant volume relation is nothing but what? Change in the internal energy. And heat capacity at constant pressure, that gives the idea about what? Enthalpy, change in the enthalpy. Okay, right. Now Cp minus Cv equal to R. How we will conclude this equation? For this you see here. This we have seen the enthalpy case. Delta H equal to what? Delta U plus delta PV, because H equal to U plus PV we learnt. Okay. Now change the enthalpy equal to what? Change the enthalpy equal to delta H equal to delta U plus delta PV. Okay. Now PV equal to what? NRT. If N equal to 1 mole, it is RT only. So in place of PV, I will substitute RT. Therefore, delta H equal to what? Delta U plus delta RT. Okay. Now this is same PV equal to RT and PV equal to RT. Therefore, delta H equal to delta U plus R into delta T. Why? R is constant. So I am taking R outside. So R into delta T. Okay. Right. What is delta H here? Delta H equal to Cp into delta T. So this I have taken here. So in place of delta H, I have taken Cp into delta T. What is delta U here at constant volume? So I am taking Cv into delta T, and this is already R into delta T. So in all the cases, delta T is common. So omitting the common factor, so Cp is equal to Cv plus R, or Cp, bring this side Cv. So Cp minus Cv equal to R. So in this way, Cp minus Cv equal to R is concluded here using all these derivations of the equations. Okay. Now from this equation, what we can conclude? We can conclude that Cp is always greater than Cv, or Cv is smaller than Cp. Why? Because in constant volume process, the work done is zero. Whenever heat is supplied at constant volume, it is only what it is changing the internal energy. So there is no work done. Okay. But in the case of heat supplied at constant pressure, where there is change in the volume, that time It is not only changing the internal energy plus work is done. Therefore, this value is always more. That means Cp is always more than the Cv. That's why let's conclude. Heat supplied to rise temperature of the gas by unit degree is more here in the case of Cp than in the case of Cv. That's why Cp minus Cv equal to R, or Cp equal to R plus Cv. Something extra is there in the case of Cp that will calculate whenever numerical comes. So today what we learnt? Today we learnt heat capacity, then molar heat capacity, specific heat capacity, Cp, Cv, and the relation and the conclusion. Okay. So today we will wind up our discussion on the heat capacity. So in the tomorrow's discussion, we will go further into the thermodynamics chapter regarding the heat transfer between the system and the surrounding, or work done between the system and the surrounding. Till then, keep thinking and keep studying. Have a nice time. Thank you.